Greetings, Green Thumbs and Pollinator pals. Beth here from Como Park Zoo and Conservatory, coming to you from our Pollinator exhibit to show you the lush, beautiful green growth that we have had here in our exhibit over the last couple of weeks. Now, when I see all these beautiful plants on exhibit, I can't help but wonder how we are able to get such beautiful blooms and green leaves. And I thought we should ask one of our experts. So here with us today is horticulturalist Diane. And horticulturalist Diane, you're going to share with us, because you're an expert at helping us propagate our amazing plants here throughout the conservatory and throughout Como Park Zoo. And I would love to learn a little bit of some tips from you to hopefully make me a green thumb as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, Diane.
Hi, thank you. So the part that I play is I start the seeds and the plugs that we get in here. So I kind of like start the plants that we use in here. So at the beginning of a season, I will get an order from the gardener that designs this. And on here, she'll list what plant she wants, variety, where she found them, how many she wants, in what size pots, and any other information that we need. So I work from this list. I will do the seeding, and I've got just a couple examples of seeds here. This is a bigger seed that we have.
And what is that seed for?
That is a scarlet runner bean seed. And then this here is another seed that we have, Nicotiana.
Oh, it's so small.
So there's quite a difference in the seed sizes. So that's why back over here you can see all the different tray sizes that we use. We use this one a lot. It's a 288 cell. This seed tray I'll use for that teeny seed that I had there, because it's so hard to get one seed per cell with that tiny seed. But for the bigger seed, I would use a tray like this, where it's a little bigger. So as the seedlings start to grow, they need to be transplanted. And we have a couple different sizes that we use, either the 72 flat, a 48 cell, or a 36 cell. And then once they outgrow that, as you can see, this is in a 36, here we'll go to either the 4.5 inch or bigger size pots. So as things start to grow, you can see they'll need to be transplanted. So we just keep getting bigger and bigger. When we get plugs in, they'll come in different plug trays. This would be an example of a plug tray that we
Diane,
would
what
buy
is a
in.
plug?
A plug is just a tiny plant. So, so this you could say is a plug. And this is really rooted in here. Just gonna pull it out.
So they start off really small, but they already come to us already sprouted.
Right, they would come to us in like this size, or a little bigger usually. But this would be the smallest they'd come to be a plug. And then these are really fun and easy to plant into the, you know, bigger size trays. So.
And you have to scale them up gradually, don't you?
Right.
You can't just put them in a big pot and hope them bigger.
Right, because yeah, they wouldn't be so happy then. Yeah, we try to go a little bit at a time. So back to the seeding part. If it doesn't give the directions on the packet of what we need to do, then I would refer to this book here. It's a bulb culture guide. So in here, it'll tell me the different things it needs, whether it needs light to germinate or darkness, so then it would have to be covered, what temperatures. We have a nice germination chamber that most of our stuff goes into, and that's about 72 to 75 degrees or so. But some plants need cold to germinate, so I would have to put them in a different spot in the greenhouse where it's cooler. Some things need to be stratified, where I would need to make a moist mixture of usually sand and vermiculite and pack them in a little baggie and put them in the refrigerator for 30 days or so, whatever the requirements are. They need a cold period, and then bring them out and germinate them. So this book will tell me all the directions that I need to know for specific seeds. We have two different kinds of cedars. This is just a little hand cedar, and you would just put this, you know, seeds in here, and then just put them in the trays as needed. Or the tiny ones like this, I would do in the more open flat. So we've got this little cedar, and then we have what's called a vacuum cedar, and we have a lot of different, I don't have the cedar up here with me, but there's a lot of different trays and different size holes depending on how big the seed is. So there's a vacuum in a tray. You set the tray down, and there's like a little vacuum that will suck the seeds into each hole. And after you have them all situated, then you would flip it over like this onto the tray and turn off the vacuum, and then you would have a tray full of seeds.
And it drops all of them into the little tiny
Right, when you shut
cells by themselves.
Right, when you shut the vacuum off. It'll fall at the end.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
It's way easier than trying to plant each of those little pieces
Right,
of sand
by
in there.
hand, right. So, yeah, so those are the two different kinds of cedars we have.
Well, that's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
And then once the plants start to get to the point of being big, beautiful blooms, like some of ours back here, we would bring them out here into the pollinator exhibit to find their great forever homes. And here we have to give them lots of special care and attention, don't we?
Right, they do need to get watered frequently. You can see that this has just been watered recently, and you want to water thoroughly. We will also feed them regularly. So we'll bring some feed out here. We usually run a liquid feed through our injectors in the greenhouses.
Now I know every plant is different, Diane, and their needs are different. And so far, I'm trying to get my green thumb better. There are lots of different situations where you need to know how much or how little to water a plant. What are some easy ways to tell when a plant needs water or when you need to give it a break?
Well, you can just dig in the soil, and if it's very dry, then you can water it. Sometimes you will see that they're wilting, and you will yes, need to
You've
water.
seen my garden.
And of course, some plants like it drier, some wetter. So, but usually in here, probably a couple times a week, it will need to be watered thoroughly.
And it's a lot of work, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, we have an amazing team that does some awesome watering here. Now, as our blooms continue, blooms don't last forever, do they? And we have to help encourage them to keep blooming. Are there different processes for that?
Right, so we call this deadheading, and we can come by the dahlias over here. So it really helps to take off any of the dead growth or flowers that are done blooming. So this one is beautiful, this one has run its course. So I will just follow this down to the base and prune it off. So we do that to encourage new growth. So that can be time consuming sometimes, actually. And if there's
I can imagine.
any, dead leaves or whatever, we'll do that too.
Now, by removing these flowers that have spent, that have done their purpose, do new flowers bloom in their place?
Yes, that will really encourage the new ones to grow.
Awesome. You can see these flowers are just spectacular in their blooming. These dahlias are so pretty.
Right, and then I'll just mention that some of the bigger plants we don't start. We would just purchase those in as bigger plants that we have here, like some of the bananas and palms.
So a lot of our tropicals, they would be grown in a different way or acquired in a different way for sure, since they do need a very different environment to grow in. Some of the plants you mentioned growing, they have to grow in a style that almost replicates a dry season or a winter for some of them, but probably not ideal for a tropical plant.
Right. So we buy most of our tropical plants in.
Awesome. Now, these plants that we have here are here because they represent our pollinator exhibits and our pollinators. And here on exhibit, we'll be talking about in the future about our bees that are on exhibit pollinating. They aren't brought here just to be pollinators for us, although we do have access for many native pollinators to come in and enjoy sweet sips of nectar and all of our wonderful flowers here. But we actually have lots of ways to not just encourage pollinators here, you can encourage pollinators in your own backyard. And there's lots of different ways to do this. On our website, we'll be sharing some links with the University of Minnesota and how you can help create, if you have a larger yard, a bee lawn or a pollinator garden where you can plant lots of different plants to attract a variety of pollinators, doing awesome things for you and doing awesome things for them in return. Even if you have a very small yard or just a patio or a deck, that doesn't mean you can't plant some awesome plants to encourage pollinators as well. There are lots of really great plants that you can plant in your own backyard, even in a small container. Some plants, like the ones we have over here, this is Echinacea, right, Diane?
The
yellow one back here?
Is a nice one.
Yeah, we've got our lovely Echinacea over here, and these grow really well, and they're even good in containers, aren't they?
Right, yep. Very easy to grow. It's a popular one. Also, Monarda is a good one, sunflowers. So a lot of different annuals that you can plant.
Yeah, so there's lots of different great ways, whether you're making a garden that's large or small, to encourage pollinators to swing by your backyard or neighborhood. So get out there and be awesome, and tune in next week for some pretty cool, unusual pollinator friends. Have a great day.